Hello and welcome to a crafting video for Path of Exile. This is a way to create +2 gems and any fractured suffix. In this case, we're going to be using T1 fractured crypt multi on a base of your choice. And I want to give you a rough idea of the costs involved. You're going to need a bunch of alterations, roughly 3,800. And at today's market prices, that's like two div. And enough of the yellow juice and a sacred life force, which again at today's market prices are around 1.5 div for the yellow juice, and then another quarter of a div for the sacred life force, maybe an Exalt here or there, which are only 10c. So for less than 4 divine, you have a 75% chance of successfully creating a +2 gems amulet. So if you fail, you kind of have to start over and go again. But you can see that the costs are not outrageous. And if we look, these are selling for 10 and 38 div, which, it's early in the league. There's not a lot of people selling these yet, but just to give you an idea of what this actually costs to craft. The first step of this is going to be to alt spam for +1 all gems. Now, I know that a bunch of other crafting videos, when they say, yeah, just alt spam for something, they don't really give you a good explanation of how to go about doing that or the best way to do that. And I'm going to do that for you. So basically what the way to do this safely and quickly is to buy a number of bases. So I have, let's see, 6, 7 here. And then this is my amulet off of my character from last league. And I'll show you why I need that here. But there are these 7 amulets, and you want several bases so that you can click over them quickly and not have to worry about just clicking slowly on one to make sure that you don't roll over the mod that you want. So having several makes it much safer to do. And so the thing we're going to do is use highlight items, and we're going to type in all skill, and you'll see this is a +2 gems amulet here, but it's highlighted, right? So we're going to use that, and every time we click on one of these, it's going to change the highlight if we hit it. So I'm going to show you just how quick this is. 400 alts. Basically, you just want to click on all of them and then go through a sequence. Doesn't have to be all the same, but just sort of go left to right or back and forth, and you'll see you can go through these pretty quick, and you're just looking for the box to show up. Now, I don't know if the box is actually going to show up in this particular recording, but you get the idea. Oh, there we go. So now we have an all fire spell skill gems. That actually isn't going to be helpful for us. What we're looking for is all skill gems, but you get the idea. You can actually go through a huge number of these very quickly doing it this way. So now that you have an idea of how to quickly alt spam for a particular mod, especially a rare one, let's get into the rest of the video. One other point I'd like to make about the previous section around alt spamming is that if you buy several bases, like let's say 7, like I did in the previous section, those bases are not lost currency. When you're done and you've hit the one that you want, you just sell them and you get your however much currency you spent on those bases right back. So anyway, wanted to start there. First up, we're going to create the thing that we have in the previous. So we're going to go amulet. Let's do an agate because I tend to think that's the best for this type of build. This craft is sort of generally useful, so it doesn't have to be an agate. It can be whatever is useful for your particular situation, but let's do an agate. So we have a fractured suffix, and we're going to do crypt multi here. Now, it's important to note that this generally only works with a fractured suffix. If you want to do a fractured prefix, there are some other things you'll have to do, but this is focusing on a fractured suffix. Now, in the previous step, we alt spam for +1 all gems, and at that point, we are going to have a +1 all skill gems and crypt multi. It's going to be magic, just like this. What I'd recommend you do first, before you do anything else, is quality this. So if you're looking for a crit, I would do that right now because it's cheapest to do it when it's magic and not when it's rare. Okay, now there are 2 different ways to go about crafting it from here. I'm going to give you 2 methods. The first is going to be if you need an open prefix. Now, this is slightly more expensive if you need an open prefix, but you have to do things in a slightly different order. The second way I'm going to show you how to do this is if you don't care about having an open prefix. The open prefix is useful for the minus mana cost craft. But some of you will have your mana sorted out in other ways. Like maybe you've got a Mage Blood on, or maybe you've got a bunch of mana cost reduction jewels or whatever. There are a lot of different ways to sort of solve mana in the build, and it's just cheaper to make a +2 amulet the other way. So I'm going to give you both ways. So you know what to do. This is the first way, open prefix. So the first thing you're going to do is Regal. Now there are two outcomes for regaling. This is a really good outcome. All res is awesome, but you're going to either get a suffix or a prefix. Now, if you get a suffix like we did here, you're in really good shape, because all you need to do is go to the bench and you're going to craft cannot roll attack. And now we're going to rem add as is. So this is a 66% chance of success, with success being keeping all skill gems. You don't care about these two mods, although it would be nice to keep this. There's not a lot you can do about it. So yeah, 66% chance of success. Let's see what happens. Harvest, add, remove Phys. And we lost the craft, so this is perfect. We have open prefix, so we can go to non-channeling skills have -2 mana cost and craft it and call it good. Oh, let's do it one more time. 7%. Let's go. There we go. And we're done. So to simulate what happens if you regal a prefix, let's go ahead and just put some garbage prefix on here. Now, there are two things you can do. You can decide to YOLO a null, which I wouldn't recommend because it costs around 2 divine worth of alterations to get to just +1 all gems. So I would try to finish the craft and sell it. But there's also a win for you here. So the first thing you're going to do is bench craft a prefix. So let's go to the bench and bench anything. It doesn't really matter. What you want to do is block the prefix from being added, and you're going to Exalt slam a suffix. So this leaves us in a state where we have 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, and a bench crafted mod. And now we're going to go to our suffixes and roll cannot roll attack. And now we're going to rem add Phys. Rem add Phys. We didn't brick it, that's great. We didn't, unfortunately, remove our prefix. And so what I would do from this is there are 2 ways you can finish this. You can either prefixes cannot change and then Veiled Chaos Orb or Aisling to try and get a nice Unveil and then sell this if this isn't useful for you, or you can use this as perfectly fine. And actually, this is going to be more or less the easier way, and will transition us into the second way to craft these amulets. And at this point, we will have alt spammed for +1 all gems. So let's find that. Now, again, in this, before you do anything else, I would quality this. So make this, maybe crit multi or crit modifiers. Do that now because it's cheaper to do it now. Then we are going to regal. Now there are 2 cases here. The first is you get a suffix, and if you get a suffix, the thing you're going to do is benchcraft any other suffix, doesn't matter what it is. Whoops, that is not what we wanted to do. We want to go to the bench. Any suffix, it doesn't have to be this one, because you want full suffixes, and then you're going to Exalt slam a prefix on here. Now the reason for that is the end state you want to be in before you do rem add Phys is 2 naturally rolled prefixes, 2 naturally rolled suffixes, and a bench crafted cannot roll attack. So we're going to go here and hit cannot roll attack. Now we've got 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, cannot roll attack, which is a suffix, rem add physical, and there we go. We've got a +2 gems, crit multi, and we have an open suffix. So with an open suffix, what I would probably do to finish this is craft prefixes cannot change, and then either Veiled Chaos Orb for something that's good. Okay, now let's look at the other case. Let's say you regal a prefix. So we're going to put any trash prefix on here, increased armor. You want to be in the same end state as the other case where you have two naturally rolled prefixes, two naturally rolled suffixes. So the way to force a suffix onto here is to go to prefixes and our bench. We're going to craft something, doesn't matter what it is. Now we've got 3 prefixes, so we're guaranteed a suffix when we Exalt Slam. We do that and we get rarity, awesome. Now we're in a state where we have 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes, and a benched mod. And the bench mod we actually want is the meta mod for cannot roll attack. We're going to do that. Now we have an open prefix. Important to double check that you have all these things correct. So open prefix and then rem add physical should give us plus 2 gems. We ripped the crafted mod, which is fine. It would have been nice to rip this prefix, but that's okay. Now to finish this, just like the other one, I would probably craft prefixes cannot change. Let's go ahead and do that. Why not? Prefixes cannot be changed. And then either Aisling or Veiled Cast. It sort of depends on the value you place on having to have a bench crafted suffix. If you want a bench suffix guaranteed, I would just do an Aisling instead and pay for the Aisling instead of Veiled Cast. But if you want to save the money, I don't know whatever an Aisling costs, sometimes between 1 and 3 divine, then choose a Veiled Cast. So let's do an Aisling. And what do we get? Val Pact, Min Frenzy. Oh, you know what? These are all kind of bad. I'll take Min Frenzy charges probably. And then maybe sell this and go again. Or, keep it. This is a perfectly good amulet. Plus 2 gems and crit multi for not a lot of currency. Okay, last thing, because I know a bunch of people will ask, what are the unveils that I think are useful for the self-chill Explosive Trap Trickster build? And they are, let's see, Jewelry, Amulet. We're going to go down to Veiled, and they are increased effect of non-damaging ailments. The more of this you have, the higher the brittle you're going to inflict on Uber bosses, and the easier it is to self-chill yourself to max chill. Increased trap throwing speed, always good. And these hybrid chaos res rolls are good because res is sometimes difficult because we have so many things going on in different places to sort out self-chill and other things. So chaos res anywhere you can get it on your gear is pretty good. I'll also say strength index and strength and int are pretty nice. The lethal pride generally has strength sorted out for us, but if you have a natural roll of strength and dex or strength and int, that's pretty good too. The rest of these I probably would either sell or get rid of. I know there's some other builds that like frenzy charges, for example, but yeah, you get the gist. Do whatever feels good to you, and then benchcraft whatever else you need. Trap throwing speed, suffix, or whatever. All right, that's it for this crafting video. I hope you learned something or that it was useful for you, and we'll see you in the next one.